Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a Wrestling Mind podcast. Enjoy the show.
Well, I was a fanatic. There's no doubt, a fanatic. My goal was to get carried out of the wrestling room because of exhaustion, and it never happened. The thing it did for me every day about 6 o'clock is that when I got out, I looked back in and there was nobody else there. Bottom line was I didn't reach my goal. So guess what happened? I went back in the room again. But I got some quality time because of just some kind of a fanatic goal.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of a Wrestling Mind podcast. Could not be more excited to have you. To kick things off, we have Ohio State University head coach Tom Ryan. Tom has led the Buckeyes to multiple Big Ten titles, an NCAA championship. He's been Coach of the Year a ton of times. And oh yeah, he was a savage wrestler at the University of Iowa during the 90s with legendary coach Dan Gable. And he also lived with another savage in Terry Brand. So really can't wait for you guys to dive into this one. Now, before we go to the interview, I want to give a quick shout out to our fan of the week. And this one goes to my mom, Lori Steiner, Mama J. Thank you for the support along the way. It's only right we give you these honors to kick the season off. Now, next week we're going to be dropping Episode 2 with Jake, the master of the mullet Herbert. And in the meantime, sit back, enjoy the show, as we take you to Columbus, Ohio with Coach Tom Ryan.
Coach Ryan, how are we doing?
Good to be with you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Really excited for this one. Now, Coach, you've had a tremendous coaching career. 2015 national team champs, two-time defending Big Ten champs, three-time Coach of the Year. But before that, you were an elite wrestler for the Hawkeyes. I'd love to just go back to that time and understand what was the biggest change from Syracuse to Iowa? Like, just what was the energy like back then? You guys had some incredible teams.
Yeah, back in the day, in 1989, when I went out there was no internet, right? So there was no way of knowing what Gable was doing, what this amazing, elite organization was doing, unless you were willing to immerse yourself in it. So for me, the thing that it provided was, now looking back at it, it was the capability to suffer at the highest level. So lots of chosen suffering out there. It provided this brutal environment. And now as a coach, I know that the best organizations in the world understand suffering, which is another word for sacrifice or another word for love. So I knew that Gable was producing, the Gable system was producing many of the best wrestlers in the country, but also on the Olympic level. So I felt that, one of those crossroad moments in life, and I'm not going to live my life and be on my deathbed and wonder what life would have been like if I had only made this decision. So, I packed my bags and left a full scholarship to Syracuse to be under the leadership of Coach Gable, and it was a life changer.
I'm getting chills hearing that story, and I want to go back to suffering, so I know that's a big tenet for you. But when you were out there, you lived with Terry Brands for 3 years. We've all seen your interviews in the documentary Terry, but I'd love to just understand, what was some of your biggest takeaways from living with Terry Brands? What was a day in their life like for you guys? Just pure mania at all times?
Yeah. I think that in decision making, in life in general, we all have a threshold, and there are certain things in life that build on top of each other, and then ultimately the threshold is broken. And you move toward what you truly want. So for me, obviously watching Iowa wrestling, following the national tournament, going to camp out there, seeing the number of Olympians and national champs, all were piling on top of each other for me. And then I got to watch Tom and Terry Brands, and we're the same age. When I was at Syracuse, and I was at a dual meet we were wrestling in the Penn State Open the next day, and Iowa was wrestling Penn State the night before. So I went to the dual meet, and that was another one of the pieces that kind of pushed me over the threshold. And I pretty much made up my mind after watching Tom and Terry compete that, you know what, I've got to be around them. And when I moved out there, I stayed in a hotel for a little while, and then I met Terry, on another level outside of the wrestling room. And, we just kind of hit it off, and I moved in with him, and he was really a game changer for me. Along with the Steiners, there were so many great guys out there, but the biggest thing was mentality. This relentless pursuit of being the best version of you. And that's really probably what rubbed off on me the most, living with Terry, being around Tom and some of these other guys.
Yeah, I mean, and you said it, and just the lineups alone. I mean, in 91 and 92, I think you guys went 41-0. You lost to Pat Smith by 1, and I think Terry that year lost as well. And so you guys come back after the Nationals in 91. You're back at your apartment or your dorms, whatever. Those type of bounce back moments, I think, where the suffering comes into play, the growth comes into play, and the learning. Before we move on to some of your coaching stuff, I'd love to just touch on, how long did it take for you guys to bounce back from that? Because it must have been traumatic losses for both of you guys. Did you consider them a loss? Did you consider them a learning experience?
That year we had 6 in the finals, and we had 8 in the top 3, and we had a 5th place finisher. So we had 9 All-Americans in our heavyweight loss in the All-American round. So, the team was so good, and the people around you, when you're struggling with things, it's nice to have people around you that can understand what you're feeling. So, I mean, we didn't sulk for long. Sulking really doesn't get you anywhere. So it was, get back to Iowa City and get your head straight and get back at it. So, Terry fortunately won his senior year, and that was probably the least healthy year I've ever had as a competitor. So I really never got to the level of training that I wanted to. I had a couple of injuries and ended up taking 3rd as a senior. But, living with Terry and being around Tom, like I said, and the Steiners and Zappel, these were people that didn't put things on pedestals. The expectation was to compete as hard as you can and be the best guy in your weight. And that mentality really helped me a lot. I really needed that. And I was fortunate to be around guys that, didn't view winning the Nationals as this unattainable thing. It was just another event with a lot of good guys, and be ready for it. So that helped me quite a bit.
I love that. And quick shout out to you mentioned your heavyweight, John Ostendorf. That was my brother Tanner's college coach at Coe College in Iowa. So shout out to Coach O. Big fan of that guy and the things he's doing at Coe College right now.
He was a great teammate, a great guy. And, obviously, the following year, he was, one of the elite heavyweights in the country for a couple of years. So, yeah.
And that was with Kurt Angle and some ferocious guys there. So
yeah, no question about it.
Crazy. So then you go to Hofstra, you have a really good run there, and then you go to Ohio State, which historically wasn't a wrestling power despite their dominance in other sports. And now you've just graduated, the best group of seniors ever in Tomasello, Jordan, and Snyder. It's like looking back on your coaching career, and I know you have a long way to go. What have you learned about getting these guys to perform mentally, blocking out those negative thoughts? What are some of the common things you see there?
Well, I would like to say that all my thoughts are my own, right? And that, I come up with this brilliant formula. And the reality is that the blessings I've had in life to be around people like Chris Campbell, Gene Mills, Randy Lewis, Royce Alger, Joe Williams, Lincoln Macri, Tom Brandt, Trevor, the Steiners, Dave Schultz. I mean, the list is just endless, right? Travell Delegnev, Logan Stieber, Jay Jagger. So the list is so long, and you take a little bit from everybody. Dan, Gable. So the thing that helped me the most, I would say, was just Coach Gable's self-control. I think as a competitor, I was telling someone today, actually, that I've never heard the guy even raise his voice. He just wasn't a yeller. He wasn't he had very, very, very good emotional control. And when I look at the elite wrestlers in the world, I see they have tremendous emotional control. All the great ones, I think if you pull the similarities, that's one of them. And certainly Kyle Snyder, you see the self-control, emotional control he has. So, every time I sign a student athlete with an incredible work ethic, I mean, the ability to suffer at a level that you have to suffer at to be elite. Every time I sign someone with that quality and a high level of talent and impeccable character, I become a better coach. When you get people, it's a recruiting game. When you get people that have those three pillars in their life, because we know this, we know that talent and hard work will get you to the top, but it will not keep you there. The sustainability factor is through the truths that you live by, through your character, your decision-making. And I've seen it time and time again, the ones that stay on top are the ones that understand that. And, so we look for that. We look for that in recruiting. And then you put them in a system where they're cared for, they're challenged, they're loved. You put them around other people that think like them. And, lightning strikes. There's never a guarantee that they'll win 4 titles, right? I don't guarantee anything other than I'm going to do what I can to help you. But lightning usually strikes when you put like-minded people in an organization and they just pull each other along. So, I'm fortunate that I've been able to sign a lot of really good people and have a lot of good coaches and create an environment where there's a lot of love.
Well, that new wrestling complex, that can only help in the ROTC program you guys have. It's just a deadly combination you guys have out there right now. And plus the high school wrestling in Ohio, second to none, maybe PA's a little bit above, but it's all right there. So, I mean, that's got to be an incredible place to recruit and work out of.
Yeah, I feel really fortunate that Ohio State felt that I could lead the program. I would give a ton of the credit to where we've gotten to, and we want to be the best program in the world, right? So we're not that, but when I assess Ohio State wrestling over the last 40, 50 years, there's been a lot of successful student athletes that have come through here, but the X factor in every single program that has success is the administration. Right? I don't care how good of a coach you want to be, how much wrestling you know, how fast or good your high crotch technique is, or it doesn't matter. If you don't have resources and a leader that really wants to build a program at an elite level, if you don't have that, you have no chance. And Ohio State, happens to have that in Gene Smith, and we happen to be in a fertile state for high-level talent. We happen to be in an area where there's some men and women that have done really well in life financially, and they're willing to back the program. I mean, we've raised about $8 million for the facility. We raised, $600,000 a year for our freestyle program. We're raising $200,000 additional dollars a year for our discretionary account. You're talking about a family. You're talking about a lot of people that are invested in this, and they're invested because they see results, and they see people that are not only measured by their wrestling, right? They're measured by their influence that they can have in the community. And when you do that, your family continues to grow.
Well, and I think you hit on a key piece there. I mean, everything needs to come into play, all those factors you mentioned, but if the success isn't there, a lot of that's going to fade. And I think the key piece of what you've done is getting back to that emotional control. Give us an example, though. There's maybe a business person going into a big thing, or maybe an athlete going into a big competition, and maybe like the negative thoughts start creeping in. Do you have like a process or a technique for dealing with that? Or I think you mentioned Kyle Snyder just doesn't allow those thoughts in. That's to me like the most fascinating part of your guys'.
No, listen, human nature, we're made, right? God, our creator, we're designed to move toward complacency. I feel like we're made to be elite and be great, but our default mode is to simply choose the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's very normal even for elite people to have thoughts that are not healthy. This guy, oh no, there's a lot of pressure on me. I have to win this match. So there's a lot of natural negative thoughts that can move into our minds. And what we value as a program, and what I would say in any walk of life, listen, you're never going to control winning, but you control the things that you can. You can control your effort. So we try to have them stick to a couple simple phrases when they're feeling that way. Move my hands and feet. Something that they can attach to so their mind doesn't run wild. Because when our mind's running wild, we're using energy, right? The brain uses, scientifically fact, the brain uses more energy than the body. So we see these stories all the time, right? I've had student athletes, as much as we share with them, it still happens. Where you're in the semifinals and nationals, the quarterfinals or the morning, you got 6 hours between. Can you calm your brain? Because the human brain doesn't know, it can't tell the difference whether you're wrestling or whether you're overloaded with emotion about the wrestling. Your brain can't tell, right? When you're playing video games, it can't tell the difference whether you're in the bush shooting at an enemy or you're sitting on your couch. It's causing stress, and stress releases bad things. So our system is first and foremost, trust your training, right? So you Navy SEALs motto, right? You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. So making sure that they believe they paid the price. That day in and day out, you're working on the areas that you have to work on. You've scouted your opponents a little bit. You're aware of their tendencies, but you're really aware of your strengths and weaknesses. So that's the first piece. The second piece is just control your thoughts, right? And keep it really simple. We're going to love you regardless. You're going to be loved regardless. And to really hone in on the things that you can control, and you cannot control winning. So it's a work in progress. It's not easy. It's not easy, but either a student athlete gets control of their emotions, or they will absolutely fall victim to the negative things that can occur when you can't control them.
And it's crazy that the mind just conjures up these bizarre thoughts that no one, like, why would you ever think about something that you wouldn't want to happen, but it happens all the time.
It's amazing. It's the old, hey, don't look at the pink elephant in the room, right? No, you can't stop searching for it. You know, so yeah, no, it's a real challenge. And, it's here's the thing, right? It takes so much work. I think so many of us are so used to, right? We know that, the 5-mile run's going to help my cardio. We know that the, 200 pull-ups are going to help my strength. We know that the deadlifts are going to help. But how often do we actually train our minds to behave?
Yeah.
I mean, how many of us are true landlords of our mind? How many of us understand that, we can evict bad thoughts. We can siphon the good from the bad. And that is truly, it just takes work. And if you're not working on it all the time, it'll be a weakness for you. So we just do a lot of it.
It's a technique. And before we go on to some quick rapid fire questions and let you go, just one piece on, the mental training. What role does visualization of the big moments play for you guys? And how do you balance that with, letting your mind at ease and not stressing out over big matches?
I want them to disconnect when they leave the room, quite frankly. Listen, I want them to be aware of, what I'm eating, what time I'm going to bed. But I think disconnecting is important too. When you're in the room, you're giving everything you can. And when you're out of the room, you're being as much of a normal person as you can. It's not easy to be a normal person because we want psychos, right?
Yeah.
We in our world, psycho's a normal term. Hey, this guy, another term for psycho is relentless worker, right? So, I feel like my role as a coach, our role is to put them under duress, but also release as much stress, as we can. So I do think that visualizing is critical, and we do it, right? I mean, God, where there is no vision, the people perish, right? So I believe that it's a fundamental piece of truly seeing where you want to go, and seeing yourself performing at the highest level. So we do it, but we also try to get them to disconnect.
It's a fine line, definitely.
It's a fine line. Yeah.
I think if just like if you would say, hey, I'm going to schedule my day to have an hour workout, I think it's important to schedule time for visualization. And when you're not doing it, you're not doing it.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. So 3 quick rapid fire questions here, Coach, and I'll let you go. The first one for me is, you and your guys, this is really evident with Penn State too, but especially you guys have just these standards that you live by. Your guys are like all 4.0. They're just solid guys. I mean, it's just evident from the interviews. Like, what would you say are a couple standards that are important to you that you and your guys live by?
I would say that first standard is treat others the way you want to be treated. Chase the hard way. Most of my guys have a really strong foundation. They feel like they're servants. They have a strong foundation. They believe in a higher power.
Yeah.
I don't care what so a lot of them believe in Christ, Jesus Christ. So, and when you listen, the world will sway us left and right, if we let it. So how do we ground ourselves in truths? And I think that a lot of these guys believe that they are the end result of a creator. And when you think that way and you believe that's the truth, you don't leave it alone, you pursue it. And when you pursue it, you find some things that many don't find in this world. So that's definitely, we measure effort, right? You're evaluating your effort, the way you treat others. And I think it's some simple,
I mean, just common
pieces, yeah.
Yeah.
Just common,
Cool. And then, so second to last rapid fire question is here. You're big on self-improvement. And I heard this in an interview you did one time. It was, a lot of times we're focusing on improving the athletes, but how much are we improving ourselves? So what books do you love, or what videos do you watch to really hone your skills and improve as an individual?
Well, as you know, I think the game changer for me was when I lost my son to a massive heart attack at the dinner table. And I didn't need a lesson like that. I mean, I think ultimately my old teammates would say I was a good guy, clearly made some mistakes along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But that I was a hardworking, good person who didn't necessarily need the deep pain that I experienced. But when I lost him, when we lost him, my wife and I and our children, our family, I started to really question the meaning of life, right? As wrestlers we're taught, you control everything. And that's a great thing to learn. But as you get older, you realize that there's some things you can't control, the unchosen suffering. So when I started to dig into truths, I read scripture. So first and foremost, the Bible.
Sure.
I think that's a blueprint for success. I like outliers. I like books, faith-based books. The Slight Edge, Compound Effect. I mean, a lot of let's see. We've read Good to Great. So a lot of anything on self-improvement where there's a faith-based component I like a lot. So I try to control the things that come into my brain. You like it?
Yeah, it's a good book. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, our team's actually reading that this summer. That's their summer reading. Yeah.
There's another book I just finished that's gone to the top of my list. It's called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday.
Heard about it. How good is it?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Really?
It's really, really good.
It's really good. Really.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm reading right. Have you heard of the book Lead for God's Sake?
I have not.
Yeah, so this was recommended to me by a friend that's read a lot of books. So I'm in the middle of that now. It's really good. What else do you like?
I mean, The Four Agreements is really good. I don't know if you've read that one.
No.
Really simple. because I'm in sales and a lot of things are outside of your control, just like they were in wrestling. But like a couple of it, 4 Agreements, Tom Brady reads it every year. But
oh, wow, really?
Oh, yeah. Yep. So his big, it's like a couple of the agreements are, take nothing personally, don't make any assumptions, and then be really concise with your words, because your word is all you have. So just
wow, I like that. That's really good.
Yeah, love that book. And then As a Man Thinketh is really good. I read that all the time. That's like the Bible. I love that. Yep. One you have to read if you haven't yet. It's called Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah, I've read it. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, that one, because all we control is how we respond to external events. So, I mean, again, what a freeing thought to have.
Yeah,
well, Coach,
Man's Search for Meaning is one of the most read books of all time, I believe. Yeah.
Is that right?
I think it's the most read book. Yeah, that's an amazing book. That's a Holocaust survivor, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Viktor Frankl.
Frankl. Yep.
Yeah, his big thing again is just events happen. Events aren't good or bad. It's how you interpret them and respond to them. That's all you can do. So just to wrap this up, Coach, obviously the theme of this podcast here is we're trying to share the great word of wrestling with both young wrestlers as well as working professionals alike. I think if you have to summarize it, it's probably really hard to do. Like, what's some of the best takeaways you have from the great sport of wrestling that we all love and enjoy so much?
I'd probably say hard work, the tireless work ethic, self-reflection, assessing and constantly assessing, and then putting a plan together to be better than you were before. Humility. I don't care how good you are. There's always someone that may humble you in a given day. Respect. Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many things at this sport, the relationships that you develop through the years of just suffering alongside people that want the same things that you want. So, yeah, I'm obviously one of many that's living proof of how this sport can help you grow as a man.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just so clear in your interviews how much enthusiasm you have for it and how you carry yourself, and that's reflected down to your guys too. So, I think just self-discipline. I think that was kind of a theme for all of that, but that's been a big one too. Well, Coach, thank you so much. Where can people find you online? And then if they want to get involved with the cause for your ROTC program or for your Buckeye program, how would they do that? How do they support the cause if they want to do so?
Yeah, thanks. So, we've got our website. Our website is OhioRTC.com. And, I use Twitter to try to, I think I'm on more than some and less than others, but I try to use it to impact people in a positive way. I think we have a voice, and to not use it would be negligent. So Twitter on Buckeye158, and that's it.
Still representing the college way. I love it.
Right, that's right.
Well, cool. Well, thank you again, Coach. Have a great off season.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
And all great things must come to an end. That's the end of this episode, but it's not the end of the season or the show. Thank you for listening, everybody. If you want to support the podcast, please go to iTunes, give us a rating and subscribe, and also check out wrestlingmind.com for blogs and archived shows. Have a great day.